Hey everyone, welcome back to Sujanta Real Estate. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can save money for a down payment. When people see how much money they have to put down towards a purchase of a property, they always get really intimidated by that number. The minimum that you can put down is 5%, and that is towards the value of a property that is worth $500,000 or less. If the purchase price of the property is in between $500,000 and $1 million, then you have to pay 5% of the first 500,000 and then 10% of the whatever is above 500,000 up to a max of $1 million. And any properties that are above $1 million, you have to pay a 20% down payment. For example, a starter property that first-time home buyers usually buy are one-bedroom condos, and on average they cost about $500,000. And that is, of course, if you're living either in downtown Toronto or the surrounding suburbs such as Mississauga, Markham, Richmond Hill, those kind of cities. And the 5% down payment that you need on a $500,000 home would be $25,000. Unfortunately, not everyone has $25,000 just lying in the bank in their savings. That is why when people find out they have to put $25,000 down, they start losing hope because it's such a big amount to put down. But you know what? It's not impossible. All you have to do is save. Of course, I know people are gonna say that's easier said than done. It's a lot easier to say you should save your money than actually doing it. There's a saying that I always keep in my heart and that helps drive me forward, and that's if you have a dream and you write it down, it becomes a goal. If you take that goal and you break it down into steps, it becomes a plan. And if you act upon your plan, it becomes reality. And honestly, the first step in saving money is to make it your priority. There's something called microtransactions. Microtransactions are pretty much the small, minuscule things that we buy that we don't think twice about. For example, this can be the $2 cups of Tim Hortons that you buy every morning. Of course, a lot of people might not think $2 is anything. A lot of people think $2 is just spare change. But eventually, over time, every single one of those $2 microtransactions, they add up to a larger amount. So one of the best ways to save money is to create a budget for yourself. It's important to create a budget in order to track your finances and where you spend money. A budget is really important because it allows you to have a financial plan in place. The second good way to save is to go to your bank and set up an automatic transfer. This will cause your bank to either periodically transfer money from your checking account into your savings at set intervals. For example, every 2 weeks when you get your paycheck in. Or you can also set it up so every time you spend using your debit card, it transfers X amount of money into your savings. I used to do this myself back when I was in school, so every 2 weeks when I did get my paycheck, I would put half of it in my savings and have the other half to spend it on whatever I wanted to. And then every time I made a transaction with my debit card, 50 cents would go from my debit card to my savings account. This allowed me to not overspend and save a lot of money. You will be really surprised to see how these little amounts really add up at the end of the day when you look at your bank statements and you're like, I have this much money? But of course, when you do have all that money, it's very tempting to spend it. So you should always rethink. Maybe you could use some of it to spoil yourself, but just don't spend all of it. Have you ever bought something and then the next day you look back at the item and you're like, why did I buy this? And then you regret your decision to buy it and you're like, I wish I could have my money back. These are called impulse purchases. They're purchases that we buy without thinking about the future consequences. And we buy these on an emotional basis, not a logical one. There are actually many studies that show when people do go shopping, it releases a neurotransmitter called dopamine. And simply what dopamine does in your brain is it makes you feel happy. When we shop, our brain releases dopamines to make us feel happy about the things we're about to purchase. And this really influences us to impulse buy. So that's why the next day when the dopamine is gone from our brains, we don't feel the same happiness we did when we initially bought it the day before, and we regret our purchases the day after. And I unfortunately know all about impulse purchases. I used to be a really big shopper and I used to be very impulsive with the things that I bought. But by adding something into my train of thought before I went to purchase things, it really changed my mindset and I stopped impulse purchasing as much. What I found was the most effective was this question: how many hours do I have to work in order to buy this item? After I ask myself that question before I decide if I want to buy anything, honestly, I usually don't buy it. My personal weakness is street clothes. So I love sneakers, streetwear, and I was very brand oriented. Like I like Supreme, Babe, Off-White, and these things would cost hundreds of dollars. And in the past, when I did work like the minimum wage job, it was I think $11 an hour. I used to buy t-shirts and shoes that cost $100, $200, $300 just for one pair. So when I did add this train of thought, it really opened my eyes. So whenever I went to a sneaker store and then I saw those really nice $200 pair of shoes, I would ask myself that question: how many hours would I have to work to afford that pair of shoes? And when I did the calculations, it was over 18 hours of work for that pair of sneakers. And that truly made me second guess my decision on whether or not I wanted to purchase it or not. After that, my spending dropped dramatically. And now when I look back at how much I saved and what I was able to buy, I'm truly amazed at my progress. If I can do it at 25, I know you can do it too. All you have to do is have the determination and will to save money. It's always better to struggle a little now to live a better tomorrow, rather than seek temporary pleasure today, but have to suffer later in the future. And by this, obviously I mean, the sooner you buy the house, the better, just because of inflation and how everything increases in price. Okay, today, if you do buy a property, it might be more expensive than renting, but you have to think about the future. 10 years down the road, when you're still paying the same mortgage that you are today, you'll be paying significantly less than what people are paying for their rent in 10 years from now. So yes, you might be suffering today because you can't splurge and spend wherever you want, but 10 years down the line, when you're 30, 40, 50, the amount of money you will be saving from having a mortgage from 10 years in the past compared to paying the current rental market, it can get you a lot of stuff. Like for example, 10 years ago, the average rental price is around $1,000 to $1,200. Today it's well over $2,000. So if you bought a property 10 years ago, right now, as in 2020, you'd be saving maybe around $1,000 a month that you could be spending on other things. And on top of that, you had 10 years of appreciation of the house value, which helps further increase your net worth. And all this profit that you're making, you can use as an investment for more and better things. So if you're saving $1,000 a month because you had a mortgage from 10 years ago compared to the current rental price, that's like the price of an airplane ticket. So 1 month of savings, you go on vacation and go enjoy your life, exploring other countries, trying new cuisines. So that's all for my video today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a lot and hopefully it helps you save towards the down payment for your future dream home. If you need any help or if you need any advice, please feel free to contact me and I will respond to you as soon as possible. If you like the video, please like and subscribe.